calm down. People are going to show. Awesome. Everyone's literally learning the real Alex and how neurotic I am.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I'm leaving. I'm leaving right now.
Yeah. Okay. We'll fill in for you. Don't worry, man. Dave. All right. So just FYI, everyone, Dr. Johnna, Blake, thank you for joining. We are actually live right now on a few of the social channels, and we are recording. So just watch what you say in case anybody goes off the rails, kind of like Dave. I know Dave Carroll does that often. I'm just kidding, man. And then we're going to open up the Zoom room here in just a second. But before I get everybody else in, just a few things. I expect that for each of you, Blake, Dave, and Dr. Johnna, that you will probably be on air somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. That's what I'm going to try to keep your portions to. And so what would be best is when I address you with the questions that hopefully you've seen in the speaking notes, try to answer as concisely as possible and bring your answers to a close. Since I didn't have a chance to kind of prep with each of you, I don't know your speaking styles. I don't know how you answer questions, but try to, answer the question, bring it to a noticeable close for me. And then I will pick up with the next question based on kind of where you end. And if you can just keep an eye on the time, we're trying to get to probably around the 45-minute mark or 50-minute mark with the material, and then leave about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A and follow-up, things like that. Does that all make sense? Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and open up the Zoom room now, and you can go on mute until we're ready to go. So let me start the broadcast, and we will start to see people coming in. I don't know if you have the chat open there in Zoom, but we should start to see the early birds here in a minute. If you're over on LinkedIn or Facebook and you're hearing us, or seeing us, please let us know. I can see the chat over here on my left. Actually, there's quite a bit on my screen here. I'm just going to say hello. I can see some people coming in there, I think on LinkedIn so far. And so if you can hear me and see me, this is Dave Rosendahl. You haven't missed anything yet. We're about to get started here in 8 minutes. And let me see who's here in Zoom. Good morning to Brian. Brian is here. Neil is here. Jeff is here. Hey, Sean, it's good to see you. Good morning. Good afternoon. I guess it's still morning. Is it true that it's morning for most of you still right now? I usually get that wrong. And I see Kimberly is here. If folks, you just jumped into Zoom, please go over to the chat and say hello. Drop a hello so that I can see you and your incredible panel can also see that you're here. I see Jessica is here. Hey, Jess. Kimberly saying, hey there, good morning. Brian says, good morning. Wonderful. I see Tom LaFata, my friend Tom, over on Facebook. I see Dr. Bushra over on LinkedIn. Hello to you, Doctor. Mark on LinkedIn says, I'm connected. So folks, I can see you. I can see all of your comments over on social coming in. Please keep those coming in. We're going to try to answer all of your questions today and keep everybody engaged, both here in Zoom as well as across all the social channels. Let me see here. I'm going to do a few more checks. We got about 8 minutes officially until we start. Ralph has given me a thumbs up over there on LinkedIn. So folks, if you just came in, Brian, Jeff, Kelly, Kimberly, Neil, Sean, I see some of you have dropped a hello. Make sure you know where the chat is in Zoom. If you're on social, obviously you know where the chat is. But if you're on Zoom, open that up, get that ready, because we're going to keep today's session interactive. And I want to make sure that you know where that's at. Go drop a hello or say something nice there in the chat so that we know you're here. Good morning, Jeff. It's great to see you. And panel, if you open that up as well, you'll be able to see as the questions and comments come in today. So that's always fun and exciting to see. Good morning, Dave. Dave B, my friend. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Dave, if you can hear me, go say hello over there. Jessica is here. Jessica is on the Mindfire side as well as me, and it looks like she's saying hello to Jeff. Jess, thanks for being here. Dave Buck is saying good morning. I see Lords. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly, Lords, over there in LinkedIn. Thank you for being here. It's great to see everybody. Hey, question for everyone. Since you're here early, we have about 6 or 7 minutes. Where are you dialing in from? Where are you listening to us, or where are you seeing us today? If you can drop that in either LinkedIn or Facebook or over in Zoom, drop that comment in. I want to know where everybody's from. So Brian's in St. Louis, Missouri. So Alex, I take it you know Brian? Give me a thumbs up if that's the case or no. Yeah? Brian S. Just going to protect his last name. You should be able to see him there in chat. If you can't see it, find it.
I do believe I know who that is.
Okay, awesome.
I think we're in a peer group together. What's up, Brian?
Yeah, Vistage.
Thanks for coming on.
Vistage.
Yes.
Yep, he's in your
Brian,
peer group.
thanks for coming on, buddy.
Kimberly says hello from St. Louis, from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, about 2 hours down south. Did I mangle that? I don't know if I did.
Gerardo, you did pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. We have Jeff is in Santa Monica, California, so we're neighbors. Jeff. Kimberly says, yep. I've got Penny from Israel over there on LinkedIn. Ralph is in Chicago. Lourdes is in Tallahassee, Florida. Lourdes, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Mark is in Illinois. Dr. Bushra is in Pakistan. Andre is in Lisbon, Portugal. Dave Pearson over there on LinkedIn is in Freeport, Illinois. So folks, if you're coming in on social, make sure to hit the like or hit a heart, something like that. Do that now if you can, so that we get more of the community in here in this session. This is going to be a information-packed opportunity for you to learn how direct mail is helping organizations drive leads, grow their brand, and importantly, also drive sales. So make sure you go hit a like, share this if you can, and tag somebody who needs to know how to grow their business using direct mail. If you're interested in that, or if you have folks that you think are interested, please share this with them. Dave Purdom is here from your team, Alex. Very excited to be with you guys here in St. Louis. Neil is over in the UK. Fantastic. Great. Yeah. So if you just jumped in, everyone, you haven't missed anything yet. Thank you for being here early on Facebook and over on LinkedIn and in Zoom. We're going to start officially in about 3 minutes. Hello, Thomas over there in LinkedIn. Just get settled in, folks. We've got about an hour's worth of material, probably about 45 minutes, 50 minutes of panel discussion and interview that we're going to do. And then I want to get into your questions. I want to get into real-time Q&A. So here's a question I have for all of you that are here early. What's your toughest question that you want me to ask the panel? And it's related to direct mail and marketing and sales. What's the question that's on your mind that you would like to get an answer to, related to how to use direct mail and digital, how to get the Titan of marketing, as we have here on the screen, roaring back for you and your business. So I'd love to hear what your questions are as you've entered today's session. Go drop them over there in the chat, whether you're in Zoom or on LinkedIn. Penny over on LinkedIn is saying, will it be recorded? Can I get it by email? Yes, Penny. You know what, Jessica, if you can hear me right now, would you jump over to LinkedIn and just make sure we get Penny's email address, connect with him in some way to make sure we get that over to him. Thanks, Jess. Hopefully you can hear me on that. So for the rest of you, if you just came in, would love to know what's the question that's on your mind about how to use direct mail. Thank you, Jess. What's your question about how to use direct mail? What is it that you want me to draw out of this panel? These are folks that represent different industries, different verticals, and they're each going to have insights that I think are useful to all of you. But I want to make sure I answer the questions that are on your mind. So in about 3 minutes, we will get started here. I see a question coming in from Clark. I knew this question was going to come in. Where are you, Alex? There you are. I see you. Will the current issues with the USPS lower confidence for buyers? So we'll answer that. We'll try to give you our perspective on that, Clark. Thank you for that question. We anticipated that. If you're over here in Zoom, drop a question in. Love to see what's on your mind, and we'll get the opinion of the panel here. Thomas is coming to us from St. Simon's Island, Georgia? Interesting. We got people all over the place. Fantastic. Well, in about 2 minutes, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please keep those questions coming in. I'm sure you'll have more questions as we go along here. Let me just make sure that all systems are a go on my side. We are recording. You should be able to see me and hear me. If you can and you just jumped in, drop a yes in the chat. I want to make sure we're connected. You can see me waving at you here. Dr. Bushra is saying over on LinkedIn that her biggest question is getting insight into campaigns. Okay, Dr. We will answer that for you. We have Dr. Johnna on the line. Maybe she will be able to give you some industry-specific insight as well. Tim is saying yes, he can hear and see me. Garo, did I pronounce your name correctly? Sheila, hey Sheila, good to see you. Awesome. We got a bunch of people coming in. Very good. It's good to see everybody here. Ken is saying yes. I can see Ken over there in the Q&A. Liz is saying, hey, everybody, Liz Lewis in the house. All right, Liz, it's awesome for you to be here. Thank you for being here. We're excited to have your crew here, and I'm honored to be with everybody. So in about a minute, we're going to go ahead and get started. I can see more of you over there in LinkedIn and on Facebook. Please keep those comments coming in. And like I said, if you just jumped in LinkedIn, if you just jumped into Facebook, please give us a like, give us a heart, share this. We want to make sure that we bring all of this information to as many as possible today. So the title of today's presentation and panel discussion, as you can see here on the screen, is The Titan of Marketing Comes Roaring Back. And this is a information packed session that we prepared for you today around how direct mail is in many cases transforming both as a channel in and of itself, but also helping businesses grow their leads and drive their sales, which is why we've got a great panel of experts here to share their insights with you today. So I want to give everyone a few seconds just to settle into their virtual seats and get those fingers warmed up. So I'm going to keep it interactive. I want to make sure you continue chatting with us. I want to get to know everybody just a little bit here. I'm Dave Rosendahl. I'm going to introduce myself more formally here in a minute. Now, I recognize some of the names that I'm seeing come across the different channels, but what I want to know from each of you as we get started and warmed up here, wherever you happen to be right now, whether you're in LinkedIn or Facebook or in Zoom, wherever you're watching this, Demio, tell us where you heard about this session. So like what channel? Was it an email? Did Alex notify you? How did you hear about it? And in what mechanism? Was it, like I said, through an email, through LinkedIn, through Facebook, a personal invite? So Sheila is saying she saw it from my LinkedIn page. That's fantastic. Keep those things coming here, please, folks. We want to know where you heard us from. Tim is saying email from your team to Abco and Leon. Awesome. Thank you, Tim. Just go over to the chat, folks. We want to know where you're coming in from. Where did you hear about this session? And on what channel did you hear about it? It's really important for us to know. We want to make sure to continue to bring you these types of events. I'm seeing Mark over on LinkedIn saying LinkedIn. Yeah, all the LinkedIn folks are saying LinkedIn. Ken over here is saying an email from Alex and the LinkedIn page. Leah is saying from my marketing manager. Fantastic. Please keep those coming, folks. Oh, Keith got a personal invite. Wow, lucky Keith. All right, so if we haven't met before, let me introduce myself briefly. I'm Dave Rosendahl, the co-founder here at Mindfire. And we are obsessed with helping companies solve some of the toughest marketing and sales challenges. And the way we do that is through technology, services, and training that we offer for marketing and sales teams around the world. And we've been fortunate to work with many, many brands like the ones you see here on the screen. Kind of two portions of our portfolio are represented here. One are what we call service providers. Those are folks like Alex and his team. Agencies, commercial printers, folks that need to help brands grow their leads and drive their sales. And they do that using our technology. And then we also work directly with thousands of global brands. So that's who I am. And I have the honor of being able to moderate today's panel. First and foremost, I want to thank Alex for the opportunity to do that. You see him here on the top left. So thank you for the opportunity, Alex. I appreciate that. And in addition to Alex, on today's panel, we have David Carroll. He's the CEO at Dope Marketing. He's there waving on the screen. We have Blake Anderson, who you can see there in the lower left, and Dr. Johnna Thomas at Restore Dental in the lower right. And so here's what we're going to do to run today's panel, kind of break it up into two parts. First, what I want to do is give you all some key updates on direct mail, including some of the newest innovations that very few business owners, very few business leaders, very few marketers and salespeople actually know about. And so I'm going to walk you through a few of those. All of those, if you have questions about them, drop them into the chat. Alex and his team can help you implement those for your organization or figure out if they're good for you. So that's where we're going to start. And then I'm going to bring in our panelists and ask them your top questions. I'm going to try to get deeply inside of their results, draw out some insights for you, and get you some tips that you need in order to improve the direct mail that you're doing for your organization, or if you're not doing direct mail, give you some inspiration around why you should. So first, let me bring on Alex. Good morning. Good midday to you, Alex. I want to thank you again, like I said, for giving me the opportunity to moderate today's panel. And I would love if you can just give everyone, in case they're new to you or your organization, just a few minutes of who you are and what your company does. And let's give everyone a little insight into your wonderful organization.
Very, very good. Dave, thank you for that nice warm intro. And just before I get started, can everyone hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear. Yes.
All right, great. Dave, just thank you so much for moderating this panel. Blake, Johnna, and Dave Carroll. Can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I think you all could tell the last couple of weeks how neurotic I was about this going well. So hope everyone gets a lot of good stuff out of it. I'm Alex Fechner. I'm the fourth generation to come into Advertisers Printing Company. Started back in 1923. And we're family owned and operated, and we specialize in B2B printed and digital communications, specifically in direct mail, which this panel is about today. And we are going to be talking about how we can improve direct mail overall. As the real technical term everyone likes to hear is the spray and pray method is dead. Collecting data and figuring out what your direct mail is doing for you and what it can do for you is the best option. So hope everyone's ready to learn some good stuff. And Dave, I just noticed a couple slides back on your slide from Market Edge. Yep. I'm in the lower right-hand corner.
Right here, yeah.
And the advertiser's logo is right under me. So this was meant to be.
It was meant to be from back then, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I noticed that as well. I had pointed that out to my team. It's just, I guess, just how the world works. That's awesome.
The last thing I'd like to say is, again, going back to you, Dave, and the panel, one thing that all of my colleagues hear me say very often at advertisers is I'm pretty good at surrounding myself with people that are a lot smarter than me. So this panel here is definitely going to help you guys learn how we can help improve things for your direct mail campaigns. And if you're looking at getting into direct mail, this is a great place to start. So before my ADD takes over, please carry on.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to know just a little bit so the audience can hear more about this, whether you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or Zoom, wherever you happen to be seeing this from. We've got a lot of different types of businesses, a lot of different types of people, a lot of different types of organizations here. So from your vantage there at advertisers, what kind of organizations do you work with? Are there verticals or types of customers where you do direct mail that you're finding success in? If you could just give us a little insight into that.
Sure. Well, advertisers' strongest verticals, particularly into direct mail, are retail, manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, higher education, cultural institutions, entertainment venues, like you can see on the screen there, like the Cardinals and the St. Louis Zoo, and then design agencies as well, who design for all of those verticals.
Awesome. So, folks, if you're in any of those categories, let us know there in the chat. These are the types of organizations that Alex happens to be working with. But even if you're not in one of those verticals and you're thinking about how to recover revenue right now, which I know is on everyone's mind, how to continue to drive sales despite the craziness going on in the world, even if you don't find yourself in one of those verticals, direct mail can still be useful. And that's kind of what we want to clarify and kind of shine some light on for everyone today. So thank you for that introduction there, Alex. Let me start with, as I mentioned, kind of let's say a 50,000 foot view of some of the innovations that are happening right now in direct mail. And typically when I get an opportunity to talk to a group like you, I'm asked, well, shoot, it's 2020. Why are we still talking about direct mail? How are we still talking about paper that gets manually ferreted from one location to another? And I'm here to tell you, and so is your panel, that direct mail is not dead. It's thriving. It's doing very well as a channel, and it competes extremely effectively against digital-only campaigns. In fact, when digital and direct mail are used together, that's when you can get some really surprising results. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So direct mail has some advantages over other channels. One is that it's tangible. and portable means it's got staying power. Even here in my house, and I'm sure in many of yours, you have stacks of mail that you need to go through, and you have to sometimes walk over it like I do here at my house in order to get where you want to go. That's not true for email necessarily. It's not true necessarily for Facebook. So it's got some tangible and portable power to it that makes it an effective channel. If we've got any Canadian folks here, the Canada Post sponsored a study and really looked into kind of the psychology around how we interact with mail. And they found that it's 21% easier to process than digital only channels. So if you're trying to communicate your message clearly, and if you want people to actually understand what you can do for them as a business, direct mail has some advantages there. And then if you want people to remember who you are and what your organization can do for them, direct mail creates a 70% better brand recall than just digital on itself, on its own. And 70% of consumers consider it more personal than digital. In fact, I was just talking to an organization yesterday that does that helps higher education, higher ed, universities and colleges find and attract students. And they do a lot of focus groups with young people. And young people, I'm talking even younger than your panel here today, find direct mail as a very engaging and personal channel. So if you haven't considered how to use it to engage your audience in a personal way, you definitely should. And it gets you noticed. 77% of people sort through their mail immediately. Now, one of the reasons it has an advantage is that a lot of us, I'm sure many of you, are inundated with email, like this poor guy here on the screen, right? Email is a very effective channel. So I'm not saying it doesn't work, but in a recent study, 51% of us suffer from email fatigue. Drop me an X, wherever you happen to be, Zoom, LinkedIn, Facebook, if you're suffering a little bit from email fatigue. In fact, I've probably got 6,000 or 7,000 messages in my box right now. I might declare email bankruptcy, and I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. Half of us rarely or never open marketing emails. I'm seeing all the X's come in. The average household only receives 2 pieces of direct mail per day compared to 157 emails. I would venture to guess that all of your panel gets significantly more than 157 emails a day, as do you. Now, this is a little funny stat down here. 5% of Americans respond to important emails while intoxicated. I also want you to know that 5% of your panel is intoxicated. No, that's a joke. Now, you might be thinking, well, direct mail is only for, let's say, older portions of the market, maybe an older demographic. And if that's what you think, that's not true. In fact, millennials are a big part of the market right now. And the way they engage with mail, if that's an important audience for you, millennials, roughly 20s to mid 30s, are really doing some amazing things with direct mail in terms of how they're engaging with it. And I think what's interesting is that your panel today are all millennial business leaders. They're all in that range. So not only is direct mail very powerful for reaching that type of audience, but for those of you in business, the millennial manager, business leader, business owner is an important constituent to consider. So the USPS recently did a study looking at this, and they found that millennials, 77% of them pay attention to direct mail. 90% of them view it as reliable. 57, more than half, have made a purchase decision based on mail, and the vast majority of them like it. Now, when you ask marketers how they're using direct mail and what's happening when they combine that with the power of digital, here's what they're finding. 40% conversion rates when digital and direct mail are combined, meaning when you run a campaign like the ones we're going to be talking about today, and you combine it with digital, the two of those woven together, orchestrated together, 40% conversion rates when that happens. 68% of marketing respondents, the folks in this study, said that combining digital and direct mail drives more traffic to their website. And you're going to hear about that from your panel today. 60% of marketing respondents said combining digital and direct mail gets them more bang for their buck, gets them a better ROI. So what's happening? How is this happening? The USPS obviously has been in the news quite a bit recently, but they realize this. Direct mail needs to stay relevant, and they're helping us as marketers, as brands, as businesses tap into the power of direct mail and tying it to digital with folks like Alex and his company and the technology that they offer. They're a big part of this. One of the innovations you might be familiar with is informed delivery. If you look at the screen here, can everyone see the screen? Give me a yes if you can see the screen here. I want to make sure you're looking at informed delivery. Informed delivery is a feature that consumers have that gives them a digital preview of the mail that's about to arrive at their home. So when I say digital preview, I mean you can get an email, an app on your phone can notify you. There's also an online dashboard that you can log into, and it will show you the mail that's about to arrive at your home. Now, what's cool about this is you can see from this little illustration here is that when you get that notification, as a business owner, as a brand, as a marketer, as you're sending that to your customer, to your prospect, you can digitally enable that impression. So they're getting an email on top of the direct mail piece. They're getting an email from you sent by USPS. They're getting a digital impression, which means they can click on that, go to a landing page or go to a microsite. So it gives you some fantastic capability to be able to extend the power of direct mail to another level. So here's a simple example of what informed delivery looks like, just a workflow here. When you send a direct mail piece that's using informed delivery, as I mentioned, you get this digital preview, this digital ride-along that comes into the inbox, as you can see over here. Then your customer, your prospect, gets the direct mail piece in their inbox, in their mailbox, and that can drive folks to a retail location. That can drive folks to a dental practice, to a doctor's office, to pick up the phone and call you. And so this is a very, very powerful feature that gives you kind of a triple impression for the direct mail that you're already doing. So that's called informed delivery, and Alex and his team can help you with that. In fact, if you look at the data behind this, this is from an internal USPS report that we were given access to. Right now, there's about 28 million subscribers in the United States to this service. Okay, so not everybody in the US is using it, but it's growing very rapidly. 28 million people are using it. There's a 67% open rate on that email. I mean, think about your email open rates, folks. We'd all love to have a 68% open rate. And 32% of the surveyed users of this informed delivery have clicked on one of those interactive digital promotions that goes along with that notification. And if you're thinking about, okay, how do I get, how do I start with this, and what kind of competition am I going to be facing for getting the attention of my consumer? Only 2,900 campaigns are running right now. And the reason I highlight that is I'm suggesting to you, if you're thinking about how to break through all of this noise, how to reach your customers, how to reach your prospects, there's not a lot of competition in this service yet. So now is the time, if you're thinking about this, to work with Alex and his team to be able to incorporate this into the mail that you're doing. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, I know some of you are thinking, well, really, does this stuff really work? Combining, snail mail and paper with digital, can it really drive business outcomes? Can it really drive behavior? And so here are a couple stats that I think are useful to you. When you combine direct mail and digital, it does a number of things. 68% report increased website visits. Again, we're going to hear about that today from your panel. 63% of marketers who were surveyed here said that it improved or increased their response rates. 60% said it increased ROI. 53% said it increased leads. 39% said it drove more physical foot traffic. And 11% said more downloads of some digital content or something like some sort of electronic document. And so when you do direct mail effectively, you're going to increase awareness. You're going to drive more consideration for your services, whether you sell homes, you sell medical services, whatever it is that you happen to offer your constituents, your customers. You're going to be able to drive more transactions, more usage, and more advocacy for your brand. So when you think about how other companies are coordinating direct mail and digital, which is what you're going to be hearing about today, a lot of folks right now are driving traffic from direct mail to digital channels. And I want to show you an example of that here. This is something that not a lot of people know about. You've probably heard about QR codes, right? I'm sure everybody's heard about QR codes. You might think, they're lame, they're old, they're so 10 years ago, right? Well, the innovation is, that was true back in the day. But the innovation here is that now most people have a QR code reader built into the phone. That means in contrast to what we used to have to do, go to the App Store, look for one of these QR code readers, install it, realize it was a crappy QR code reader, didn't work, go find another one. What a pain in the butt, especially if you want to make this process easy for the recipient, right? Well, now, because it's built into the camera, it's very easy to jump to a URL, to a website, to a personalized URL, and engage that consumer. So the friction has been completely removed. And I want to show you, if you haven't experienced this, I want to show you what this feels like. I give you permission to multitask right now. Pull out your phone. Go get your phone. I'm sure it's right next to you. Open up your camera, and let's see if this is enabled for your device, okay? All you need to do is point your camera at this QR code here on the screen, and you will see a prompt at the top that says, open up this QR code, okay? Go ahead and click on that. And when that comes up, this is just one example of what you can do with this, okay? It's going to allow you to connect with me on LinkedIn, okay? So click on that, go over there to the connect button on LinkedIn, and let me see you connect with me there on LinkedIn. What I've done, imagine this was on a print piece, on a direct mail piece, is giving you an easy way to move from print, from offline to online. How many of you didn't know this was possible? Drop me the word camera in the chat, whether you're in Zoom or in Facebook, wherever you happen to be watching this in LinkedIn, drop the word camera if this was new to you. Yeah, look at this, Alex and team. We got Rich saying camera, Dave saying camera, Garo saying camera, Brian saying camera. This is something that not a lot of people know. And what we believe, as more consumers become accustomed to this, this is an opportunity for all of you who want to make it easy for your customers and your prospects to engage with you electronically, digitally. This is a great way to take folks from offline to online. Kelly is saying it's not new to me, but it's still way cool. Yes. Bill is saying camera. Yes. Awesome. That's fantastic, folks. That's an important part of this mix, being able to take folks from that direct mail over to the web. Now, what I want to do here is I want to bring up another example here for you. Let me just make sure I've got the audio here. So this is QR, what you see here on the screen. This is AR, okay? And so the opportunities where direct mail takes someone to the digital realm can be extended to what's called augmented reality. I'm sure you've heard this word. You're probably somewhat familiar with it, but let me show you a quick example of what AR can do in mail and with other things that you do for your customers. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this. And you'll see, whoops. You'll see the example here. That's augmented reality. And the opportunities there, if you think about those from a marketing and a sales perspective, are where you can take something physical, again, like a direct mail piece, AR enable it. And if you're a brand that has an app like Coca-Cola and other brands, you can embed an AR reader inside of that app, have your recipients point their phone at that direct mail piece and experience something unique, experience something digital. I can think of how this could work in real estate, right? This could work for showing homes. This could work for a variety of different use cases where you want the recipient to be able to experience something more than just reading something on a direct mail piece. Does that make sense? Drop a 1 if you're in LinkedIn, Facebook, or over there in Zoom chat if you get the possibility there with AR. Now, before I bring the panel on, I want to turn you on to one more thing, and this is something that I see Sheila saying, what the? That's awesome. Yeah, it is, Sheila. It is awesome. I want to turn you on to one more idea here, something else that Alex and his team can help you with, and that's the notion that in addition to USPS, in addition to advertisers printing, making huge investments in connecting direct mail with the web, other companies like Facebook are also doing the same, and not a lot of people know about this. If you've been working with Alex and his team, you've probably heard a little bit about this, but let me just describe to you what you can do with Facebook and direct mail. Not many know that you can take a list of your customers, your prospects, and upload it to Facebook. Alex and his team can help you with this. And when you upload it to Facebook, let's say it's a list of 10,000, 100,000, a million, Facebook will find those people on the platform. So you upload a list of 10,000, Alex and his team do this for you. Facebook will find 7,000, 6,000, 8,000 of those people on Facebook and say, here are those people on Facebook. What do you want to put in front of them? The power there is that as you're doing direct mail, in advance of that direct mail piece hitting home, in addition to using something like informed delivery, you can also use this. You can use Facebook to put impressions in front of those people to warm them up before they get that direct mail piece. Now, not only that, but once your data are inside Facebook, so once you've uploaded that list of 10,000, let's say they're your best customers, your top prospects, you can use Facebook's big data to find people that look just like your best customers. The way this works, Facebook behind the scenes, and I know it sounds a little scary, on you and on me has around 50,000 additional columns of data about us. Facebook has a lot of information about you and about me, stuff we haven't told them that they go and acquire and they stitch together for you and for me. And so what happens is when you upload that list of 10,000, they have ways of being able to find the people in the US, in Canada, whatever country on earth that you're targeting, the people that look most like those individuals. And so once you have your list, not only can you display impressions and display ads to that list, but also find lookalikes to that audience. Tremendous, tremendous capacity to be able to engage your market there with Facebook. In addition, once that data is in there, you can use Facebook's machine learning to help you optimize the money that you're spending there with Alex and his team as they're helping you explore this opportunity in Facebook. What I mean by that is Facebook is extremely powerful in that you can tell it, look, to these people, I've got a goal. I want to drive conversions, which could be leads, right? Or maybe you want to drive traffic to a website. Or maybe you just want to build brand awareness. What happens is, think of it this way, Facebook takes your list and sorts it so that the people who are most likely to do what you want are at the top of that list. Does that make sense? So if that is useful to you, if you haven't considered how to do that, I'm going to bring Alex's information back here on the screen. If you haven't considered how to do these things or how to use these in your direct mail, now is a great time to be doing it. We're going to put Alex's information here briefly on the screen. There's his cell phone number. But here's what I want to know from you, everyone who's listening and watching us right now. LinkedIn, Facebook, Zoom. Which of the things that we just looked at was the biggest aha for you? Was it informed delivery? Maybe QR codes now being built directly into the camera? Augmented reality, that Coke example I showed you? Combining Facebook and direct mail? Maybe the fact that millennials are very engaged in direct mail. I want to know what stood out to you. What was the biggest aha? Go over there to the chat. I want to see it. So Rich is saying informed delivery, Alex, and AR. Kelly is saying Facebook seems to fit us the best. Okay, keep it coming. I want to see my friends over on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. Go drop in. What was the biggest unlock for you? Stephen or Stefan? Gosh, I should know how to pronounce your name by this point, right? Please forgive me. Says informed delivery. Fantastic. Rachel is saying augmented reality. Rachel, did you mean AR or QR? So QR codes were the ones that you pointed your camera at and immediately jumped to me on LinkedIn there, or AR, the Coke example that you saw? Liz is saying Facebook has 50,000 additional data points on us. So amazing and powerful. Liz, absolutely. Bill is saying AR is righteous. Yeah. Rachel is saying the AR Coke example. Wonderful. We'll keep those coming, folks. If you have questions about how to do that and how to apply it to your business, that's exactly what Alex and his team can help you with. Now, I want to dive now into engaging the panel here around how they're doing all of this stuff in their real world business and how they are driving results. And when we were preparing for this discussion, Alex, you actually mentioned an HVAC client that you've been working with. And I thought, why don't we start there before we get into Dave, Blake, and Dr. Johnna? Tell us a little bit about this industry, it's HVAC, and what you did for this customer and the results that you're getting for them.
Yeah, sure thing, Dave. One of my clients, or one of advertisers' clients, is an HVAC company in St. Louis, and we had been running a direct mail campaign for them for the last 2 years. And Dave Carroll and I from Dope Marketing, thankfully, had got introduced to each other back in, I guess, fourth quarter of 2019. And more or less, I had been working with another data partner, and I had partnered with Dave and said, "Hey, I need this data list. I need this data built out for this mailing campaign." And David kind of said, "Well, hold on a second here, buddy. Let's answer some questions here, and let's take a deep dive into the data." So in that short 15 to 20-minute conversation and going through the demographics of everything, Dave was not only able to shorten our list to make it, to save us on postage, or my customer on postage and everything, but we are also able to save ourselves close to $3,000 on the total cost of the data. And it wasn't just for one-time use; it was for multi-use. And getting in touch with my customer, he's wish he could have given us some more data points from 2019 to 2020. But even with COVID and everything going on, his inbound calls are up 6%, and his new customers are up 6%. He's working on revenue, but they're having a pretty damn good year. Again, COVID might have something to do with that, with people being stuck inside and wanting to work on certain appliances and projects. But this is one of many cases where we've actually taken a deep dive into our data with Dave Carroll of Dope Marketing, and he's asked us some good questions. We've done some modeling, and the results our customers have gotten from the list building with Dave have spoke for themselves. So
Wonderful.
That's yeah. I'll keep going if you let me.
Awesome. Well, thanks. We'll make sure we want to leave plenty of time for questions. I see Jeff has a question about Facebook and direct mail. I see questions over on LinkedIn about informed delivery. So Russ, I can see your message. Jeff, I see your questions. Hold those for a moment. What I want to do now is continue to dive into asking this panel some questions. I want you to hear from people who are using direct mail and have insights into how it works for them around how to make it maximally effective. And first up, thank you, Alex, for that introduction there on the HVAC opportunity that you worked on. I want to bring David Carroll on. So David is the CEO of Dope Marketing, and we selected David to be in this panel because we thought it would be helpful for you to hear how data is likely the most important part of planning and executing a successful direct mail campaign. So Dave, welcome to the panel here. Make sure you unmute yourself so we can hear your wonderful thoughts here. I've got a couple of questions for you that have come in from the audience, but first, tell us about Dope and your company.
Dope Marketing is the dopest marketing company. I joke a little bit. We are a data-driven marketing company. Our background, our sister company, A-Type Data, is kind of the brain behind everything we do, and Dope Marketing is the front-facing side where we can execute and use all of the cool data that we like to geek out on. A-Type Data has been around about 8 years. Dope Marketing is going on its 3rd year, and for anyone in the print or direct mail space, as Al said, we like to partner and just kind of bring another view or another way of thinking or analyzing lists, looking at hygiene, whether you need business or consumer lists, data appending. We like to put on our thick glasses and get in the spreadsheet and do the nerdy stuff that we're good at.
So I know that when we prepared for this, you said, obviously you might be biased around what I'm about to ask you next, but you feel strongly, and we'd agree, that having the right data is essential to a good direct mail campaign. Why? Why is that?
It's really the only thing that matters. I mean, like, you can have the best marketing campaign, the best creative, the best copy, the best. If your list is bad or your list sucks, like, the campaign is going to bomb. It can be the same thing. You can have the best list in the world, but if your campaign is off, or your copy or your creative, all these things have to work together. So it's very important. What I see happen a lot is, like, people work on their copy, their creative, their media, whatever, and the list comes last. And that's not what's supposed to work. You need to really look from the inception of a campaign the data is the only thing that matters, because if you strike out there, nothing really good can come after the fact. So data first is my.
And I know that in that spirit, what you help companies do is really deeply understand the data that they already have. And I thought what might be interesting for the audience to hear is, when you do that for a company, when you help them understand maybe who their customers are, who their best customers are, or who's in their pipeline right now. Do you have any examples of where perhaps, a company thought a certain thing about their top customers only to learn that it wasn't in fact true, that something else was true?
Absolutely. So it happens a ton in the home service space.
Okay.
Where whether it's owner operators or big franchises that we've worked with in roofing or pest control, where it's like, you think the person that's making the decision is the one answering the door, when in reality, if you look at the customer list or the customer you're communicating with, what you find more often than not with data is there's the facts on the spreadsheet, and then there's opinion. And sometimes being able to take a deep dive in and model data, whether you have a list of leads, a list of prospects, a list of customers that have taken a specific action, there's a lot of things hiding in that list that you might not be aware of. And that's one of the things that we can really specialize or help with. There's some of the most value that we can provide to one of our partners or a client is being able to understand or look at things like, what's the average age range? What's these people's modeled FICO score? How many kids do they have? Do they have a dog? Learning these things that you can find consistencies in a list, you might be able to turn over a rock and identify a pain point or a discussion point with a client that you just weren't aware of before.
Got it. And I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the types of information that you can pull out of your list and out of the data that you analyze for customers. So walk us through this. What are we seeing here on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a data model that we actually ran for a client earlier this week. And what we do is with simply having the name and the address of someone. Phones and emails help, but we can do it with just a direct mail list. We can break down all of these analytics, all of these statistics to find the consistencies. And one of the coolest things, so we have a national pest control company that we work with. And what they do on a quarterly basis is they send us all of their closed leads, but then all of the leads that they got in that didn't close, and we'll run what's called a data model on it. And the purpose of getting into these stats, whether it's the age or the income level or the ethnicity, let's say you have 500 people or 1,000 people that did something. One of your clients sold 500 whatevers. When we can take and model and analyze that data, now we just go around their service area and pull a list of, people with 250 plus income that are 40 to 55 years old. Finding the consistencies in that data model now allows you to ask or request a much more targeted list of people who are similar as the people that did something, but aren't on your current list. So we take your client list, we use that as a suppression file. So we're not going to advertise to those people because they already did something, but we want to target those men between 45 and 55 that have this income, that have this many children, to create a predictable result based off previous clients or previous customers' actions.
Makes total sense, David. Thank you for that insight. And folks, I just sent you a note over there in Zoom. Let me know the questions you have around data. Dave could probably speak for the next 8 hours to answer your questions. So we're going to answer everything that's on your mind. LinkedIn, Facebook, you guys and girls over there, men and women, do the same thing. All right. We want to know what's on your mind around data. What I want to know, Danielle says, no questions, but you just blew my mind, David. Fantastic. I want to bring up Blake Anderson now to the discussion. And Blake is the Regional Director of Marketing at Sotheby's International Realty. And so I think his use of direct mail is one that's going to give you some interesting insights around, how direct mail is a very important part of a considered purchase, something that, is not going to be bought in a few hours or maybe even a few days. A considered purchase is something that a lot of businesses are working with. So Blake, welcome to the panel today. And first, just love to hear a little bit about you. If you could tell the audience about yourself and kind of your role and your time there with your company.
Sure. So well, first of all, welcome to everyone again. Thanks for having me on this panel today.
Absolutely.
Working with Alex and his team is great. So, I was happy to be on this panel when he asked me. So a little bit about me and what I do and what our company is. So Sotheby's is originally an auction house, actually, that was founded all the way back in 1744, branched out into real estate in 1976 because people were like, you can sell all of our fine things, our art, our, cars, whatever. What about our homes? So then, that's kind of grown over the years. We're in 72 countries now, which is really quite an awesome thing. We get to learn, best practices that are happening literally around the globe. But basically what I do here in St. Louis and Kansas City is basically just really oversee all of the omni-channel marketing that's happening. So the direct mail, the print, the digital, email, all of those things that are occurring, year round for our clients to, promote their homes and get them sold quickly.
So Blake, I know that for me personally, I get a decent amount of direct mail from real estate companies, real estate organizations, and folks in that space. And I imagine that most of you do as well. So with all of that competition in my mailbox for my attention, for our attention, does direct mail really still work for real estate? Yeah. So,
there's a couple components to that I think are really important.
Okay.
Obviously, consistency is important and being consistent with what you're sending out. But really what we found is we actually had Boston Consulting Group do a study. They worked with consumers around the country, asked them about print materials actually. And basically what we found is that specifically, our consumer especially, is they value high quality print goods. So, we're not sending out postcards that have recipes on them on, kind of cheaper paper. We're using, really premium goods, which is what advertisers is really good at. So I think you've got a screen up next of one of the examples. So we send out, and it's been a little different this year, but we send out this magazine, which I have here actually as well. So it's like a 32-page glossy magazine, soft touch.
Did I see a QR code in there?
There is QR codes in here as well, which are actually really helpful to see interaction rates with the printed materials. We love data. I love hearing David talk about dope marketing because data is so incredibly important to everything that we're doing, regardless of if it's direct mail or digital advertising. You have to have your data right. Otherwise, the rest kind of is just going to fall to the wayside. So, we send out about 12,000 of these when we do. And people like them because, we're inundated all day with Facebook ads, with ads on websites, with, marketing messages. I think it's around like 2,000 marketing messages that each of us see every day. Yeah. So when you're, getting home and you're checking your mail and you've got, whatever you've got, bills and whatnot, then you have this beautiful, magazine in here or what have you. People tend to hold on to those and it has a pretty long shelf life.
So when I asked the audience before the event, kind of what they wanted to know from you and from the panel in general, they really want to get some insight into, for example, what is it doing to your website traffic for your brand? Yeah. And almost more importantly, like what's it doing for revenue? So can you share some insights into that?
Absolutely. Obviously, those are the things that really matter is what are the results? Because something can be beautiful, but if it doesn't drive results, then what's it matter? So I've got a couple stats here that I'll share with you. And there's a lot more that, we can discuss if anyone's interested. But so overall, we actually had a huge printing contract with a local publication. We kind of canceled out that contract because we couldn't track the results that we were getting. So we replaced that with this direct mail campaign. And overall, our website traffic actually increased about 128%. And certainly there were a couple other campaigns running, but most of that traffic was either direct or organic search. So our organic, and this was the only change that we had at that time. So people were, seeing our branding, not only on the printed piece that they're getting, but also on the informed delivery, on the social match, on the digital targeted ads that run for 60 days following. So that all helped increase our website traffic about 128%. And then we also saw our revenue increase 15%. It's a little harder for us to directly correlate exact leads just because, sometimes we're pre-marketing to somebody for 2-3 years before
Sure.
they're actually in the market for real estate.
Yep.
But being consistent with them establishes us as, okay, well, I'm going with them, of course, because, we're everywhere, basically, is kind of the goal.
So you mentioned something interesting there around, working with someone like Alex and his team, where you can gain this kind of essential insight really into how your direct mail is doing. I know you have a snapshot here of the dashboard that Alex and his team provided. Alex, do you want to speak to this, or Blake, do you want to kind of just walk us through what we're seeing here?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, this is a kind of a dashboard that you get for each campaign that you do. So this is one that we did several months back.
Okay.
But basically, it's going to give you just an overview of all of the digital campaigns, as well as, the actual print pieces that went out. So, you're seeing what is your delivery rate of the, number of pieces that you sent. And then the leads, obviously, is what a lot of people are going to be interested in. So we actually did something a little different with this. We actually have a landing page that people are directed to, which has a code on it. So that's where a lot of the 237 are coming from. But 7,678 comes from the other traffic that we're receiving to our website. So we're also using the tool to just capture people's physical addresses that visit our website, so that we can then add them into, a future mailing list.
Wonderful.
To just keep them, in that loop with us.
Yep.
Call tracking is something that we have. Calls are not super common, whether it's from direct mail or, even a sign in the yard. People just don't behave that way anymore. Typically with real estate, they usually just go online and they're going to look up whatever they're interested in. And then that's why kind of everything comes back into this dashboard of the ad displays, the engagements, the unique visitors, all of those things are really important, and they're all centralized here.
That's wonderful. Super cool. Thank you for sharing that. Everyone in Zoom, over on LinkedIn and Facebook, if you have any questions for Blake, he's just been so open and honest here with us and sharing the data. Let me know what questions you have. And if you got value from what he just shared, go drop his name in the chat. Just drop Blake so we can get some energy from you. So over there in Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, drop his name. Blake, thank you for sharing that. I want to bring Dr. Johnna Thomas here and make sure that we leave time for questions. So I'll come back to you, Blake, in just a moment. I see everyone dropping your name with a bunch of exclamation marks over there in Zoom. So people got some value out of what you dropped there. So thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Dr. Johnna now is going to join us here. And I see her back at her desk there in her office. Dr. Johnna, I saw on your website, you described yourself as a wife, a dog mom, a sister, a daughter. I think you said aunt, dentist, obviously a volunteer, entrepreneur. And I also saw lady boss, which means to me that you understand how to, lead an organization and drive a movement and build brand. I know Kaylin Poland is great at that. And then I saw lover of learning and rap music. So before we get into the questions that I'm sure everyone's wondering, I got to know about this rap music. Tell me more about that.
Oh my gosh. So I've always loved rap music. I actually grew up on a farm, so it's just really weird. I don't know. My husband is just, he doesn't know what to do with me. I just like it. I know it's just really offensive, but I really like it.
Yes, I gotta ask.
Alex's sister-in-law, she's a good friend of mine, and she got into my car and she's just like, I never would have expected
Never would have imagined. So I got to know, and then we'll get on to business here. Who's your favorite rap artist then?
Definitely
what kind of rap we talking?
Lil Wayne, all the way.
All right. Good for you. Well, tell us a little bit about Restore Dental and your company.
Yeah, so this is a startup practice, which isn't done a whole lot anymore in dentistry, as corporate dentistry is kind of like a giant wave of the future. But it was always my passion to own my own business and run it the way that I wanted to. So I have a boutique style dental practice. There's just 3 of us here, and we have 1 patient in, 1 patient out. So just kind of high quality, low quantity per day.
Good for you. And why, of all things, direct mail to grow your business?
Yeah, so I've actually worked in the dental field for quite a while, and one of my previous roles was a marketing coordinator. And so I did find through all different avenues of marketing that direct mail was always a constant, no matter what area in the metro, it just always seemed to lead high quality or generate high quality leads.
Fascinating. And you have an example here on the screen. This is an example of the type of direct mail that you do. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so I definitely wanted to stand out a little bit different than some of the other ads that go out as far as, you know, putting an offer on there, because I do feel like a lot of patients in the area that I'm in and have dental insurance. So, you know, not just an offer, but oh wow, like she takes my insurance. I didn't know that. So that's why I have like a little bit of both on there.
Okay.
And I would actually say half of my patients or more have insurance and don't even use the you know, the deal essentially. So that's been an interesting finding that, you know, I didn't do that previously when we did direct mail at previous positions.
And what happens when you text this number? Is this somebody on the other end and on your staff?
Yeah, so we just have a cloud-based phone. And
Okay.
so, yeah, you can text and we'll text you right back.
Okay. And then on the other side of the piece, you have this here, right?
Right. So that was important to me because I feel like a lot of dental offices look like a dental office. And something I hear a lot is, wow, when I walk in, I don't feel like I'm in a dental office. So I know it's kind of crazy, but I think as a woman, you know, I don't go into my gynecology office and there's like pictures of lady parts everywhere. No, it looks like, you know, a regular office. So I don't know why dentists love to put pictures of teeth and stuff up. So we just tried to do something a little different.
It feels like a spa almost when I look at it. Is that kind of what you're hoping to communicate?
Yeah, I mean, just something inviting, something comfortable, light, bright. It just really speaks to my personality. Hopefully when people walk in, they kind of can get that feeling.
I'm seeing somebody here in the chat saying that you need to watch Insecure on HBO. I think that's with reference to your rap love, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll do that.
Now, in terms of results, we've grabbed this snapshot similar to what we had for Blake. Are you comfortable walking us through your stats here?
Sure. What would you like for me to do?
Johnna, I can take it from here if you'd rather me do that.
Perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so everyone's seeing kind of a similar dashboard to what Blake had ran through here, but so Johnna's campaign specifically was we're doing 6 drops, and we're actually got 2 more drops to go. I think we have one here coming up in September, and then another one in November. We went bi-monthly for a total of 6 drops, but as everyone can see, we've dropped 23,000 pieces so far, and it's around 40,000 total pieces for all 6 drops. But you can see, based on just the 40,000 that we're actually dropping over 6 drops, we're already at almost 850,000 ad displays here, with 2,200 engagements and a total of 1,800 total leads generated and 56 lead matches. Now, what that means is there's 1,800 total leads. So most of these are anonymous, and 56 of those total leads were actually on Johnna's mailing list. Now, a big differentiator you'll see against Johnna's campaign and Blake's campaign is the amount of phone calls Johnna's getting here. Blake had 14, and Johnna's already got up to 58, and we're only after the 4th drop of the campaign here. So, yeah, as Johnna was saying earlier, we were introduced through my brother and sister-in-law, and she kind of needed to get a marketing campaign off the ground. And she chose us, and we were happy to help her out. And I don't know if you had any other revenue stats you were willing to share or anything like that, Johnna, but if you've got anything else that you think would be informative, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had my admin, she ran the numbers for me. We have a great, like in my system software, we can pull up pretty easily. She's really good about putting in like where the patient came from. And so far, patients actually that have been to the office that have completed an exam have been 30, which is amazing. There's 5 more scheduled that I saw in September. Obviously, I think that's an incredible statistic given the time that we're in and the bad press that dentistry kind of got through March, April, and May. So I couldn't be more thrilled. And revenue generated has been 54,000.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty
and
amazing.
we're only halfway through the drops?
Right.
Yeah, we've got 2 more to go, and I think, John, I hope it's okay that I'm saying this, that your campaign's been paid for a couple times over now.
Yes, yeah, it was paid for through the first drop.
That's awesome, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you got some value out of Dr. Johnna there in terms of what she shared stat-wise, or maybe her love for rap music, go drop doctor into the chat there in Zoom or Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you for sharing that. And what I want to do now in the time we have left is open this up to questions. I'm seeing a bunch of doctors coming in here through the Zoom chat. I want to ask you all some questions. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to pause the share. Can you tell me, is everyone's picture now bigger on the screen, Alex? And are you able to see everybody all at once?
I still just have a strip of everyone here in a line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and bring up this slide then. So the first question that I saw, I think, was for you, Doctor, from Tim, asking, are you buying your lists? So Dr. Johnna, or maybe Alex, Al, can you answer that?
So we bought Johnna's, we actually bought Johnna's list. And I think, Blake, you provided your list, correct? Or I'm not sure.
Yep, we bought ours and accumulated it through a few different sources.
Okay. So Tim, hopefully that answers your question. Go over to the chat, folks. We want to know what questions you have, what insights you want to pull out of Dave, Carroll, Dr. Johnna Thomas, or Blake Anderson, or Al. Let us know. I'm going to try to answer everything that's on your mind. Alex, I did see a question come in here around kind of the retargeting capability for direct mail. Do you want to speak to that just for a brief moment? What is that and how can that help?
So the retargeted as far as the digital ads, speaking in Facebook, Google, and Instagram.
Yep. So
more or less, we take the mailing list and that is uploaded to our dashboard. And when that's uploaded to our dashboard, we try and find matches within social media handles, which is Facebook and Instagram. And if there is a match, we will start pushing those ads in front of those people. And then as far as Google is concerned, that same list is considered. And then those zip codes are looked at, and kind of like the data works, everything's considered and what the audience looks like. And then those Google ads are taken and pushed out in front of people within those zip codes who look like those on your mailing list, but aren't actually on your mailing list. So your outreach is going to tremendously improve or tremendously expand when you use that. It's called the campaign accelerator, and it gets way more finite. I can get way more into the data, and I'll probably screw it up, but that's focused on, and then everything's pushed out to people who look like they're on your mailing list, which is why we're seeing an average of 9 times the exposure of the size of the normal of the mailing list.
And Blake,
does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely. Blake, I think you answered this question to Ashley directly, but it might be of interest to the others. She wanted to know, do you create a new landing page for each direct mail campaign that you do?
Yeah, so we do typically always create a new landing page. It's really the same landing page, just with the updated creative. And then also so that we can retain, the SEO value of those previous pages, because we do index those on Google. So we just kind of duplicate and refresh each one.
Got it. All right, men and women over there in chat in Zoom and over in LinkedIn and Facebook. Again, I want to make sure we get to all of your questions. It looks like the panel has been chatting with you behind the scenes, which is fantastic. But I want to make sure we're going to stick on the line for a few more minutes. So if you have any questions, please get those in. I see that Jeff earlier said that informed delivery and being able to upload the list to Facebook was something that was new to him. And someone had asked what the cost is for doing that with Facebook. So Al, I'll turn that over to you. Do you want to just give some general guidance around cost and investment for this type of campaign?
So it's done on a per credit basis, and it really depends on the size of the mailing list. If you were going with a very, very low mailing, say less than 500 pieces, the cost would probably be around, I'd say roughly $1.50 to get the full package. But if you were doing something like in the 10,000 piece range, you'd be roughly around anywhere from 8 to 12 cents, just depending on if you were going to do the full package or choose things as a la carte, I might say. And then as the quantity increases, it usually comes out to be around roughly 5 cents per piece. Well, what I want everyone to think about though is to send out just a mail piece for one single touch alone. If you're going standard mail, it's going to be around 30 cents per piece. So to add all those touches on top of your campaign to go from 1 touch to 7 touches, it's the outreach is there, and it's well worth the investment. At least I think our panel will agree that it certainly is when you can add that.
We have a question for David or Al. You let me know who should answer this. What does it cost to analyze 10,000 recent customers and then match to lookalikes? Who wants to answer that? I'll
let Dave take that one since he's the data master.
All right, Master Dave.
Yeah, so a cost of a data model is dependent on your input file. So you talk about like 10,000 records. It's anywhere from like $750 to $1,000 to get a model done on that. And then depending on how big of a list you're looking for after that, cost per. If you look at anywhere you guys have bought data in the past, we're definitely not the first data company to come around. So we usually can get you pretty close, or like Al mentioned with some of those bigger files, substantially lower than the cost you're paying now. A couple cents per record, all depending on volume. But the modeling also, it's really tiered. We like to see 2,500 records as an input for a data model. It kind of gives us a big enough chunk to work with. The lowest we'll ever really do it with is like 1,000, just because the smaller the list gets, the less accurate it's going to be. It's not like it's going to match 100% on everyone for the age or the income or the FICO or whatever. So when you're modeling, more data, the better. Obviously, we're only going to have what we have to work with, whether it's a house file or a client file, but more the better.
So folks, I know we're up at the limit to the time that we set for the panel today, but I don't want to rush you. If you have other questions for this wonderful panel here, we have recorded this entire session, so we'll be sending it out to you after. I see Mookie, if I got your name correctly there, was giving you some thanks. Dr. Johnna says, my daughter is starting a new PT practice, and your comments were helpful and inspiring. So I'm glad to hear that. That's always encouraging to hear. If there are any other questions, would love to hear those now. We'll wait for another few moments here. Rachel is saying, this is great. Thank you for all the info. Rock on. Rachel, that's fantastic. Alex, I'm going to put your information back here on the screen. Let me do that right now. And then if folks need follow-up or they have questions for you, there you should be able to see now is Alex's email address and his cell phone number there. So once you go ahead and grab that, you will obviously get that in the follow-up, but there's his email, there's his cell phone. I think he's actually on vacation right now. Is that right?
Yeah, coming to you live from Big Cedar Lodge in Branson, Missouri.
But if somebody's got a question, I'm sure he'll take a text or a call from you. So let's see. Al, Joel is saying, talk a little bit about the Reach Dynamics platform. Anything you can add there?
Reach Dynamics. So that is another offering we have to where someone can, if they visit a website or a certain URL, they will be hit with a direct mail piece within 72 hours of reaching the website. So it would be a 4x6 or a 6x9 postcard. There's also something called Triggered CRM, Radius Amplify, and email to direct mail. If anyone is interested in learning more about those offerings, please contact your sales rep or contact me, and I will be happy to have that presentation for you or get you more information on that as well.
I see a question here from Sean. So I'm just going to hang on the line. Dr. Johnna, Blake, Dave, Carroll, if you have to drop off, totally understand, but let's take care of the good people here and make sure we get them the answers they're looking for. If you have to leave, no problem. But the question here is from Sean saying, are QR codes still effective? So panel, would you raise your hand, wave at me if you want to answer that? I know, Blake, you're using QR code inside of that beautiful piece you showed us. Maybe you want to just give your perspective on that?
Yeah, so, QR codes, I think, had their beginning, and it was a little rough because it was really kind of difficult to use them. And there was, it was a little confusing. But now, like the example, showed, you literally just take your phone out and it just detects whatever is at that QR code. So we use it and reside. We use it on like brochures that we leave in homes so that people can get an interactive experience. Maybe it's, the home has a video. So scan this code to view the video, things like that. And we do get traffic off of it. It's not, crazy amounts, but it's definitely worth, the effort to put them on there for us at least. I think it just depends on what you're using it for.
Sean, to answer your question from our vantage here at Mindfire, looking over thousands of use cases, they're definitely on the uptick in terms of being used by big major brands, and adoption by the consumer seems to be increasing as well, especially due to COVID and touchless scenarios that are more and more prevalent. And so what we see is that more consumers are going to learn that it's built into their camera, and it's going to become more commonplace. Certainly overseas, in Europe and in Asia, it's been a while since I've traveled there, but if you've been there recently, it's much more ubiquitous, and consumers are much more aware of the fact that they can do it. I think it's just a matter of time before it happens here. So Sean, let us know if we answered your question there. Over there in LinkedIn, over in Facebook, if you have any questions for this panel, I'm going to hang out a few more minutes here. I'm getting thank yous to the panel. Folks, please, if you have to leave, give your panel a thank you to Dave, to Dr. Johnna, to Blake, and of course to Al and his team for sponsoring this today. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you got value out of it. I'm going to wait another few moments here, see if any other questions come in. And to the panel, is there anything else that you would like to, any other wisdom that you would like to impart on the folks that are here? Dave, were you raising your hand or scratching your head?
I wanted a little both. I wanted to add one thing to the QR code. So it's like, you think about consumers being trained right now. Think about the last time you went to a restaurant and the menus now, and how the average consumer is taking that food menu and having to scan that and just becoming like, it's more of a habit to use a QR code. Blake, you had said something about like, when QR codes started, it was kind of like, are people actually doing this? You'd see them on like a vending machine or something, like, who's using this? But now, as we get into, as the world is changing, especially David, like you mentioned with COVID, it's like, I go back and think about the last couple of times we've been to a restaurant, and we're using, as a consumer, we're being trained to scan that menu, get it digitally. And so a consumer might be more apt to respond or interact with a QR code than maybe they were at this time last year.
Absolutely. David is saying here, Blake, David, and Dr. Johnna, really appreciate you sharing today. This was a fantastic opportunity to learn from your real world experience. Have a great weekend. So Dr. Johnna, anything else that you would like to share with the audience? Any other words of wisdom or encouragement? It sounds like you kind of touched a nerve with some people. So I want to give you an opportunity to share anything else that might be on your mind.
Sure. I would just say that direct mail definitely generates quality leads. And I've seen that because I do run other marketing campaigns, but direct mail works. I would definitely do it. I would do it again.
And it looks like you are.
Yeah.
You're halfway through your drop. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well,
Blake,
thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. So
Bye,
Blake, what about you? Any last wise words of wisdom or anything else you want to impart upon the audience here?
I would just say, especially if you're doing any direct mail, or you're considering doing direct mail, including all of these digital components is just really a no-brainer. For us, obviously, depending on your quantity, it's like 8 cents for us to do it, and we're getting so much out of it. I mean, I think we've had almost 3 million digital impressions just off of these direct mail ads. So, and the investment is so little. So if you're considering it, just really talk to Alex about how the Advertisers Connect platform can assist you with your business.
Here's a question for you, Dave C. From Joel. Who should not use direct mail? Somebody who hates money?
Yeah. If you want to, I'd stay living under a rock, but that's not even it. I can't think of a business that shouldn't use direct mail, because right now it's not about coming up with the next best thing. It's using best practices. And so if you can align, things historically that have worked like direct mail, but then implement these other things like digital or text messages or ringless voicemail, and just kind of stay up on best practices, it's like, our friend Al Gore invented the internet in 1992, and the world has become a much better place since then. And so direct mail and calling and all that stuff has historically worked before, but I can't think of a business that shouldn't be using direct mail in a cross-channel marketing strategy or an omni-channel marketing approach. I can't think of one business.
Got it. Well, Joel, let us know if we hit your gave you some insight there. Here's a question I have for all of you before I let you go. I'm talking to all of the attendees that I can see here in Zoom on my right, and over there to LinkedIn and Facebook, everywhere that we're opticasting to right now. Here's a question I have for you. What were the 1 or 2 unlocks or aha moments that you had during today's material, whether it be from Dr. Johnna, from Blake, something that maybe Al said, something that Dave shared, maybe something that I mentioned? What were the 1 or 2 things that stood out to you? If you can take a moment, would love to go see that in the chat. Go drop it in the chat. I know it takes maybe a few seconds for you to think about that, but we talked about a lot of different things today, and we always want to make sure we're delivering you value and giving you the insights that you need to run your businesses more effectively. So let's see. I'm seeing Liz here saying, I'd like to learn more about Facebook lookalikes and how that works. Okay, thank you, Liz. We can help you with that, of course. So I see Sean is still here. We have a couple Seans actually. Rachel, Neil, Mookie is still here. Mindy, Leon, my friend Leon, Leah, Ken, Kelly, Karen, Jeff, Dave, Christina. I'm calling you out right now. I want to hear from all of you. And let's see what we got here. Sean is saying QR code validation and digital tracking is what stood out. David is saying, hearing Dr. Johnna talk about how much real business has been generated compared to what little she has spent. Great. Rachel is saying the overall data were just very helpful. It's crazy how real the results are. That's cool. Kelly is saying, well organized, moved at a good pace, good concrete content. Fantastic. Mindy is saying using best practices instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, that's always helpful. And that's an advantage of working with Al and his team. They get to see a lot of these situations, a lot of use cases, and backed by partners like Dave Carroll over there at Dope, you're going to be getting these kinds of insights. So folks, Andrea, Ashley, Bill, Dave, G, I want to hear from you. Or Leon, I know Leon, you're in the biz. I want to hear from you. What other aha moments stuck out to you? I know we're about 10 minutes over. Hopefully that's okay with all of you. I'm going to give you another few seconds if there's anything else. And you know what I'll do is I'll put the contact information back here on the screen, specifically so you can see Al's contact information there. If you have any questions or if you need any help, you know where to go. Today's session has been recorded. We will distribute the information. And if there's no other questions or other insights, I want to thank everybody over on LinkedIn, all of you over on Facebook. Hit a like. There's still time. Let's make sure more people see this. And to those of you who joined in Zoom today, thank you for being here. Thank you to the panel. Al, is there any final wise words you want to leave the audience before we close?
There was one thing that someone had said as far as list maintenance. That was a question I think that came either directly to me or to the panel. But Dave, I had said that at least annually on your data. Would you say that's correct, or?
You can really look at it from like the amount of volume. A company like that does 100 jobs a year, or I'm sorry, like 1,000 jobs a year, or like Dr. Johnna, if we knew how many like patients she was seeing a year, you can kind of break it up. Or look, or like Blake, you guys, how many houses you're selling a year or per location. If you're in a range of like less than 1,000 transactions, annually is fine. Now, if you're doing 100,000 transactions a month, it's like, how much data do you have and how much can you learn from it? The more transactions or what you're looking at, because you could model prospects and see, what are we doing a good job of to, generate leads? What can we learn from these leads? And then compare a data model of like prospects that close versus prospects that don't close, and understand the difference between those two audiences and how to communicate with them. So short answer, the more data you have, the more you should model. But most businesses, like annually, is going to be fine.
But data maintenance is extremely important, because we have had customers before that say, no, this is our list. And we're like, well, when's the last time you looked at the data? And they don't have an answer to that question, which I think is bad in itself.
And that's the thing, like it's one thing to model data, but it's another thing to like do list hygiene and maintenance, to have current emails, current phone numbers. Like we've been doing some fascinating stuff with business data. We're getting like a 60% match rate on cell phones. If you gave us a business file of owners of chiropractic practices across the country, 60% cell phones. And it's something we've been working on a ton. Dave Rosenthal, you were talking about, Facebook and the match rates and the data and that stuff.
Yep.
When you can take a business file and attach a cell phone of a business owner and put that into Facebook, just imagine like where the match rates can go on the people on that list that you could show ads to. Like it gets pretty crazy. I could go on and on, but I digress.
I guess the last thing I'd want to say to just thanks again to everyone who attended. Dave, Blake, Jessica's gone, but Dave Rosendahl, thank you so much for moderating. It was a great, I felt like it was a great webinar, and just hope everyone learned something from it today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Al, for having us. I see Mookie saying, thank you all. Lots to learn here. Liz is saying lots of great stats. Fantastic, folks. Well, thank you for being here with us. We appreciate your time. I know we're headed into the weekend, and I'm sure that everyone's needing a rest from the craziness that we're all a part of these days. So thank you for making time. I know that putting an hour on your calendar is not insignificant. So thank you for being here. From everybody here on the panel and from Advertisers Printing, I want to say thank you. And we'll see everybody soon. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.